Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the latest product launch from Dealroom. It's the second of these that we've done, and we've got a lot of very cool new features to show you and different hacks and new productivity tools that you can use on Dealroom that we're really excited to share. But yeah, joining me is Felix and Yoram. Do you want to say hello?
I'm Felix Ullmer. I work on research and product here at Dealroom, and super excited to share all the new things that we have for you today.
And I'm Yoram Wijngaarde, founder and CEO. Equally excited, pumped. We should have I should say, according to Peter, pumped.
Yeah, and I'm Orla Browne. And yeah, thank you very much for joining. Let us know where you're dialing in from. I know some of you are already looking very international, which is nice. And let's take you through a little bit of what we're going to show you first of all. So here is some of the stuff we're going to be covering. So we've got Dealroom News, which we're going to welcome Andrii to talk about in just a sec. We're going to be going through the startup funnel, unicorns and thoroughbreds, a new dashboard, super powerful new dashboard there. We're going to go through some private company multiples, top investors. We've got headcount breakdowns, location, web traffic breakdowns for company profiles. Currency personalization, quarterly VC reports, and Zapier integration automation. So it's a long list.
There's a lot of stuff today, yeah.
Yeah, and the last of these we did in September. So the product team has been very busy. So well done to them. And yeah, we also want your questions. So if you have questions about the features that we're showing or anything else, drop them in as we're going along. We'll try and get to them as we're showing that feature or at the end, whichever. So let us know. But first of all, let's go on to Dealroom News. Andrii, who is just out of shot, is going to come in just a sec and
try to not knock everything over.
Not knock everything over.
I'm very, very careful.
And
I will
borrow the mic.
share the mic with me.
And we should say welcome, Andrii, because Andrii recently joined Dealroom full-time as our new head of news.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Orla. I'm very excited to be here. Very excited to join the team and also to be presenting this new thing that we have got. I mean, it's not very new, in fact. Like we had the news platform going for a while, right? But this is a significant milestone in the development. I'm going to share my screen now and show what it is actually about. So the news page, it is located on app.dealroom.co/news. You may have seen it already. It's your second icon from the top in your sidebar. So it is basically what it says on the tin. Of course, it is a news outlet where we track some of the most important news stories that are happening in the world of technology and business on top. And then there are two more parts to it. There is the news in brief, and there are sector spotlights. And I'm going to talk about all three of them in order. So first of all, top stories. So these are what we find the most important things. So this is something for you to glance over and to make sure that you are not missing anything very important happening in the world of business and technology that has to do with your or other ecosystems. If you click on the story, you see what's inside. So it is a curated story that uses several sources. You will always have links to the sources all the way at the bottom, so you can go over and take a look and learn more details if you so wish. So this is the first part. Then the second part, as I mentioned, is the news in brief. Before I move on to this page is open for everyone, so anyone can open this link and look through the news. But in order to use the superpower of this page, you need to be logged in, and the superpower is the filters, because news in brief is basically all the stories that we are tracking across all the ecosystem, across all geographies, all verticals, everything really, and there's a lot of stories. Every day, I think we track at least a few hundreds of them, and I think this is why using filters is giving you a lot of power to see and understand what is relevant and important for you. These news stories are opening on the in the sidebar, just because if you want to glance through a few of them, it makes sure that you keep your flow going. And then you have the filters. If you choose the filters, you can filter the news feed by geography, you can filter by location, by business model, by funding, by vertical, everything. So if you have been playing around with the platform before, most of these filters will be very familiar to you. This is also how you filter companies in different views. The big difference here is the news type. So this is something that you don't see anywhere else. And this means that you can see only funding rounds, or only M&A stories, or only investor fundraising, or only layoffs, for example, if you're so inclined. You can combine these filters in any way you want, and then you can get some very interesting things. Like, for example, you can always see all the funding rounds in, for example, Europe. Or you can see all stories about only unicorns, and so on and so forth. So this gives you a superpower in seeing what is relevant. And then, of course, underneath you have sector spotlights. So we will be rotating this every once in a while. For now, it is on artificial intelligence, and the whole point of having a spotlight is to show off some of the most interesting geographies, some of the most interesting verticals, industries, and so on. So you just keep an eye on this part, and we will be showing new and exciting things every day, or at least every week. So this is what the news page like. This is still very much work in progress. We are improving it. We're adding new features. We're adding new filters. So I would be very happy to hear your feedback on this, and let us know what else is interesting, what else is relevant, what else you would like to see in here. So for now, this is it, and let us know what you think.
Cool, thank you very much. And this is hopefully going to help mean that you don't have to go to lots of different websites at the start of the day to see all of the tech news. You'll be able to see it directly in Dealroom, and then kind of click through and see all of the company information as well. So thank you very much, Andrii, for working on that with us so far. But yeah, the next section, Yoram's going to take us through a few different new dashboards. So the first one is going to be the World Startup Funnel,
Yep.
I believe. So yeah, maybe you want to take over, share your screen as well.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so the funnel is something that we already kind of introduced also last time around, but we have made a lot of upgrades, small and big ones. So I'm just going to walk you through them. So to as a reminder, what do we mean by the startup funnel? It's kind of a Dealroom signature analysis of looking at ecosystems from basically kind of company birth to the bigger outcomes. So if I just jump to the funnel page. And by the way, so you can access it here from the left menu under Stats and Insights. That's, by the way, new. So it's becoming now really an integral part of the app. Before, it was like a separate page. So if you go to Funnel, you'll end up on this page. I'm just going to show you what happens if you go to the funnel page itself. So at the very top, you see where all the new founders are coming from. And here's kind of a high-level split. You can also expand to get more details. And so you can see, for example, Stanford is obviously a top university in the US in terms of producing founders. In EMEA, it's HEC. And then you have the University of Mumbai in Asia Pacific. So that's by university. You can also look by old economy, big tech, accelerators, where of course YC is ranked very highly, or by unicorn, where, for example, here you see a couple of unicorns that produce a lot of founders, and I'll get back to that in a second. And you can also look at spinouts. So if you want to see where the most spinouts are coming from, you look at universities, but then switch to spinouts. And obviously earlier, or I should say late last year, we released this massive spin-outs report, and we're also going to go global with that. And then you can access all that information here.
And the reason we wanted to show this as part of a funnel is that often people will cite things like number of unicorns or number of startups in general, but actually putting it in context is important, and understanding how many companies you have at different stages, because that's different per ecosystem, and tracking sort of the velocity that they go through these different stages.
Exactly. So that's where the funnel comes in. That's directly below. So you get an overview of at what stages are different companies. So last year, about 60,000 startups were founded, of which 21,000 received funding for the first time. So they kind of entered the funnel, if you will. Then you can see what the pool of startups look like at the different stages. So we break it down in actual startups, what for us is pre-seed up to Series A. Then you have the breakouts, Series B, C, scale-ups up to valuation outcomes, unicorns, decacorns, centicorns, and then down to 6 gigacorns. And on the right-hand side, you can see what these conversion rates look like. And the way these are calculated is according to the logic of the Journey to Series A report, which we've done now a couple of years in a row. Where we really kind of take a robust look at standardized rounds and looking at specific cohorts to get an accurate view. And you can also switch here, instead of valuation outcomes, to revenue outcomes, where you can see also, okay, what do those outcomes look like in terms of revenue? And you can see that here in orange.
And so if you're from a particular ecosystem, you might want to look, say, at the percentages on the global level of, what percentage of global startups have become unicorns? Am I under or over indexing on that? Or what does my ecosystem look like compared to one that, like a peer ecosystem for early stage startups? You understand the potential that's in your funnel, or if there's a particular gap where you feel like you can see that companies are sort of dropping away, it might be that that's where you can sort of target some support.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a separate tab here that's also new, specifically about graduation rates. And you can choose where you want to start the funnel, from seed, Series A, or from pre-seed. Like pre-seed is ideal, but you need also the detailed data for that, which is something that we can definitely help with, to make sure that's up to speed at every stage. But here you can compare the performance of your ecosystem across different locations and different sectors, also coming soon.
So you could also look at it for sector and then understand, for example, like, is the trajectory of a deep tech company different than everything else, in terms of how long whether they manage to convert to the later rounds?
Exactly. So that's kind of what this dashboard does, but there is a lot more detail to it, and you can get into it. There's all these different tabs that you can navigate, so you can look at this, for example, by location, that you can see here, or you can look at it by sector, to do exactly what you just actually said, and to make it a bit easier to navigate this, because it's obviously a lot of data. Some of you are familiar with this data because you've accessed it through our API, and now if actually for the first time, this is also available through the front end, but it is a lot to work with. So we added this search bar here to kind of make it very accessible. And let's say you want to look at the UK, you can do that here and then immediately see, okay, what does this look like when I'm specifically interested in the UK? So you can see the conversion rates, kind of the value being created, comparisons with other ecosystems, as well as the sector split, which you can also slice into a lot of different versions. But here you can see the UK has one centicorn in AI, and that's of course ARM. It has the most decacorns in fintech. So you can kind of see where the ecosystem is highly performing, and where it's still early stage.
Yeah, I'd recommend people just sit down and spend a little time playing with this, though, because there's so much that you can get out of this one dashboard.
Yeah, this is really a lot of fun. You can also you have like a bunch of knobs that you can turn and get lost in the data, but in a very fun way, I think. Just one more thing here. So, for example, I can also look at this overview by AI, for example, and change from, let's say, global to, let's say, United States. And then I can see what this looks like for AI, and then also look at that by subsector. So here you can see within the AI ecosystem, there are 3 gigacorns, but also 39 decacorns. You can see what these conversions look like, and then how that is kind of distributed within the subsectors of AI. So how much of it is Gen AI, how much is the application layer, and so forth. Yeah, so there's a lot more here, as you can see.
Cool. Nice. I mentioned before, but if people do have questions as we're going along, do drop them in the comments and we'll try and answer them for you as we're going.
Yeah. By the way, you can also export this image as an infographic. There's a download button here.
We got a question which is from Quebec, from Etienne. Is there a summary sheet with all the definitions for the different stages of the funnel? How does Dealroom define the criteria for scale up, thoroughbred, etc.?
Yeah, good question. So, I mean, it is kind of described here.
Might be a little small for people to see right now, but yeah, it is on the platform.
So yes, it is there. But I think it's also a really good question, and we can maybe add a separate section where we go into a little bit more detail about it.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Yeah, we've defined these different stages of startup, breakout, and scale up based on analysis that we've done of real companies that have gone through different stages and what funding amounts kind of would put you in different buckets. So we haven't kind of plucked numbers out of thin air, but it is based on something. But we, could probably explain that a little more sometimes.
Yeah, we'll do that. So good call.
Yes.
So I'm gonna move to the next big new thing. So you see it here, unicorns and thoroughbreds. Everybody loves unicorns or hates them maybe, but it is the kind of universal language. It's just has become a default KPI. Companies reaching $1 billion or more, and there's lots of research published about it. My LinkedIn feed is full of unicorns and charts. So it is now basically on the Dealroom platform, we have turned this inside out. So you can really do almost anything with it by using this dashboard. Why is it called Thoroughbreds? Because at Dealroom, we think it's also important to not only look at valuation, which can sometimes be real and sometimes just be more speculation. So to also look at the fundamentals. And there's now a real trend where startups are really showing their revenue, bragging about how much revenue they are doing. A lot of companies are doing really well also on this metric. So in Europe we have the luxury of trade registers where you can often also find the actual data, but more and more startups voluntarily share this, and so we also add this. And so what this dashboard does is, as you can kind of see here, this white box, it tracks unicorns, decacorns, centicorns, gigacorns, but also thoroughbreds, which are 100 million plus revenue companies, colts, 25 million. And then we've added for good measure also the Mag 7, because companies like Apple, Microsoft normally don't, because they founded before 1990, they normally don't meet our definition, but we thought they should be part of this as well. And we also added a couple of other companies like ASML, DeepMind, Airbus, and SAP. I will show in a second why, because you can do really a lot of interesting things with this. So there's a lot of separate tabs here, which I maybe will not go into now, but let's just look at one company. So for example, let's look at, which one did I write down? I was thinking of Palantir. But feel free in the comments also to suggest any company. But here we can look at Palantir. So we can see their revenue, their headcount, revenue per FTE, their enterprise value, which has shot up to 401 billion. You can see the founders, where they come from. We have Peter Thiel as, originally German, which is interesting. But then, of course, what's very popular is to look at alumni startups.
Or mafias, as people call them sometimes.
Exactly. This is the Palantir mafia. So there are 173 companies with more than $1 million funding. There's also even more that you can also access through the API. But here we only look at companies with more than $1 million in funding. 14 unicorns out of the Palantir mafia. 47 rising stars. So these are new-ish startups that are doing really well based on the Dealroom signal, and you can see that here with a link to see them all on the Dealroom platform, and also new startups that have just been created and are really fresh out of the gate. If you just want to have a more high-level overview of what the Palantir mafia looks like, you can see that here. And the bubble sizes represent enterprise value. You can also expand a little bit the scope, or also look at companies with a lower Dealroom signal, which doesn't, there are also interesting companies sometimes in there just with less data on them. And then lastly, you can here see their footprint. So this shows also where their talent is distributed. And what percentage of the team is like really doing frontier AI, where the team is based, and where their most of their traffic is coming from.
So this kind of data, to dig into why it might be interesting to people. Well, firstly, the sort of mafia or alumni connection is often really interesting for investors because they see that as great track record if you've got experience working at a super high growth performant company. So they might just be interested in like basically deal sourcing from these kind of companies. But then also we know that the flywheel effect of these kind of companies, that the fact that they generate returns for investors and employees, that they create all of these new startups is so important for ecosystem development. And so understanding the flywheel effect and tracking that over time for the companies in your ecosystem can be, again, really, really important.
Totally. So here is Revolut, for example, and there you can see what the Revolut mafia is doing and where the newest startups are coming from.
And maybe also understanding whether that flywheel effect is actually coming back to your ecosystem, because you showed the distribution there. You might produce lots of great talent who then move away to start their company.
Exactly. So for VCs, obviously this is interesting. And for, I guess, also for lots of other people, maybe for anybody really. But if you want to look at this on an ecosystem level, you can go, for example, to the UK. So here we take a UK lens. And here you can see kind of the number of unicorns, decacorns, thoroughbreds, and colts, the total enterprise value of the UK. So this does only count companies in this data set, so that's only the let's say unicorns and thoroughbreds, but that's more than 80% of the value, and arguably the value that counts most, because perhaps the companies that haven't reached those milestones shouldn't maybe even be counted in the total enterprise value, because it's really just an enterprise value based on how much they've raised. Now, then you can see again this very helpful sector overview. And in the UK, of course, they don't have gigacorns yet, but there is a semiconductor one that's ARM. Here you can see where the founders are coming from. So of these UK companies, most founders are also from the UK, so that makes sense. But then you can see the next biggest kind of nationalities are Israel, US, Germany. Which universities do they come from? Cambridge, Oxford. and so forth. If you expand it, there's also a bit of Harvard here. And then, here, these are the origin companies. So of the successful UK founders, where have they worked before they started the startup? With Google, Microsoft, Amazon in the lead, but also Deliveroo and Revolut here, which is interesting. And then if we go further down, we can see what are the typical founder strategies. So of the UK founders, so that have an origin from the UK, where did they decide to start their startup, or where are they currently based? And 48% is currently based in the UK, but 40% is based in the US, which
That's wild.
And then the next one is Singapore at 3%. So that's pretty interesting. And we also have data on the market strategy of these companies. So about 36% is mainly domestic, 41% is multinational, and 23% is truly global. And this is based on traffic data. So that's
which we're going to show a little bit more of in a bit as well.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And then lastly, where are the employees based? And then if you scroll further down, you can see where the AI talent is based. So this is within the UK. Arm has the most AI talent in the UK, followed by Revolut, Deliveroo, and King. So I'm looking here at all AI talent. But if you switch to core, which is like kind of one level up, not quite PhD, but people with a lot of experience. We see InstaDeep as the leader, but also Isomorphic Labs is coming here. And if I go to Frontier, you can see that Isomorphic Labs and InstaDeep are the leaders, and then Synthesia and Wave.
And Isomorphic Labs is the computational biology spin-out of Google DeepMind, so not surprising there.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a few questions in the chat. So one was, what's the difference between the blue and purple bubbles on the Rising Stars section? So those are for different geographies, basically. But if you hover over, then you can see. We had another question, which is a bit broad, but what is your methodology / taxonomy structure for classifying companies? So there's a few different ways that we do that. So we got a split by stage, which we sort of explained before, of basically how much different companies have raised, which is based on previous analysis. We've also got these other categories for unicorns, thoroughbreds, which are either based on valuation or on how much revenue you're generating. And then we also have a very deep taxonomy on the sector side. So we've got a kind of fixed 32 industry taxonomy, which are the sort of first level, high level buckets. And then we've also got thousands maybe of tags going into any given niche of a company. And you can have multiple tags. So yeah, this is an example here for ARM that you can see on that profile.
So ARM is B2B, manufacturing, semiconductors, also AI. So it depends a bit on the context, what you want to know about a company. But this is a very big topic, but something, we pride ourselves on having a very detailed taxonomy. Maybe it sometimes takes a bit more time to understand it initially, but like not more than, like, let's say you need an extra 10 minutes to kind of get it. But happy to dive in with you individually.
Yeah, and so we can dive into the different technologies as well as different sectors and business models and all of that kind of stuff. And then another question, which is more about us, but seems Dealroom started to propose ecosystem intelligence for clients rather than only providing data. Is there a specific reason for that?
Mustafa. I mean, it has always been the case. So we really see ourselves as the intelligence layer for ecosystems. If you go to our website, it's about mapping ecosystems. We think that just providing data to VCs isn't very interesting, actually. And it's more interesting to try to be an intelligence layer for everybody. So we try to be there for founders. So there's a free founder package that you can apply to if you Google Dealroom for founders. We partner with a lot of, let's say, public sector organizations. We're the official data partner for over 110 ecosystems around the world, of which 60 in Europe, but 40 and fast growing outside of Europe, really all over the world. So we want to kind of build a global data platform that's accessible in one way or another for everybody. And VCs are kind of the power users. So, our API and platform is used by, Index Ventures, Boulderton, KKR, all the big names. But for us, that alone, they come to us because we have this proprietary data. And part of the reason that we have that is because we partner with also like local regional development banks, for example. I know that Mustafa knows about this. Yeah, so it's not really new, but it is new that more of it is now accessible in the platform. And the funny thing that we notice is that VCs are actually also really interested in this data, because when they are like making their pitch deck towards their LPs, they also need to tell the story about why it's important what they are doing.
Yeah, nice question though.
No.
Thank you. Should we go, speaking of VCs, should we talk about these deal multiples next then?
Yeah, so that's my last topic, and then I'll shut up. So deal multiples is also something we did introduce last time around, but a lot of upgrades to it. Let's jump into it. This table here shows you private deals, so both exit rounds and VC rounds, and tells you what the valuation was, what are the revenues, and therefore what is the revenue multiple. So let's look at Replit, for example, the vibe coding tool that recently raised 400 million at a 9 billion valuation. So that makes it 37.5 times revenue. If you just click on it, you can see how their multiple compares with other deals in the space. So they're here kind of in the middle with Poolside, Grammarly, much higher, Framer on a similar multiple, N8N a bit higher. And as you can see, while I hover in the bottom right, you can see why it's tagged as similar. So the green tags are the ones that it has in common. Lovable here at 33 times. And then there was I guess an earlier Replit round that was a lot lower in July. So then on the right-hand side, you can kind of see some summary data on Replit itself. But what's also cool here is the bubble chart. So here you can see like a different kind of way of looking at the same data, but you can also compare it with growth. So if I click in the bottom left on growth, you can see how Replit compares with these other deals. And I can also decide here to zoom in a little bit. But Replit is really out there in terms of its growth compared with all these other companies. Now you can do this with any deal, and you can also refine what for you counts as a similar deal. I will show that maybe with another deal. So for example, if we look at Faculty.
They were recently acquired in the UK, an AI company.
Yes. So there was a 1 billion acquisition, allegedly. 14.5 times revenue, 25% revenue growth year over year. And again, here you can kind of compare it with similar deals. And here you can refine it. And if you might want to say, well, okay, I really want to compare this only with, it must be an AI company. You can refine that here. I think I had maybe another example where that makes a lot of sense. So let's look at Grok. So NVIDIA acquired Grok, for example, at 40 times multiple, which you can see here is a bit on the high end. But then if you look at the similar companies, it's compared with Scale and Windsurf, Sana. So that doesn't really make sense because, they are both AI companies. But Grok is really a semiconductor company. So I can also say, okay, I really want to compare it only with semiconductor companies. And then you get that here. The last thing, so I think that's really cool. There's also a detailed description about the deal here on the right. So telling you about the deal structure and why NVIDIA acquired it and so forth. So we have that on every deal. Last thing I wanted to show is if you go to exits or VCs, you can also kind of get a historical overview. So here you can see like the number of exits has been on the rise. But maybe you want to specifically look at, okay, what was really a first-time exit for a VC?
And what do you mean by first-time exit then?
Yeah, so if a company first was acquired maybe 5 years ago, then we treat that as the first exit. Mm-hmm. And then if it subsequently IPO'd again or it was acquired again, then that's not treated as a first-time exit.
So we track all of them, but then, if you want to split them out, you can.
Yeah, exactly. We track them both, but you can split them out. You can also see what the top deals are. Maybe like this, you can see it a bit better. Or just first-time deals, you can see Wiz, Scale, Grok. You might have seen this chart also in our recent report. And that's another big trend, I think, at Dealroom, that you'll see a more seamless integration this year of our research and what's in the app. And below it here, you can see like what that looks like in terms of deals per year. Let me just jump back to the split view. And if you have a little bit of a bigger screen, you can kind of jump to the different years and see.
Again, the different colored bubbles are for different regions here. So blue is North America and green is Europe.
Green is Europe, blue is North America, and then the dark color is a first-time exit, and the light color. So Tableau, for example, was acquired by Salesforce, but it was already a public company by then.
Okay, nice. And I think we've shown it already before in a previous one of these, but maybe the multiples over time is nice to show as well.
Good one. So a median multiple you can see here. If you go to time series, you also have historic multiples, kind of bottom, median, and top quartile.
And this is featured in the report you mentioned, which I've just shared in the comments as well, because there's been a lot of sort of chat that maybe we're in a bubble and inflated valuations and all this kind of stuff. And actually multiples compared to when things really went crazy in 2021 are pretty under control if we're looking at the median. So some discipline in the market still. Yeah,
no, absolutely. A lot of these companies have skyrocketing revenues, and in that sense, it's just not a bubble. There are strange deals here and there happening, like companies that don't have any revenue and are worth 20 billion. Maybe that's a bit questionable, but by and large, all these companies are extremely impressive and doing really well.
Nice. We have a question. Do we have the same data for secondaries, or are they included in VC rounds?
So, good question. So we didn't include secondaries here intentionally, but maybe we should somehow add a section for it. But they are like not total. They are a bit different than like a proper exit, basically. So we didn't include them.
We do track secondaries. Yeah. You'll be able to see them on company profiles, but just not in this dashboard.
Exactly, they were intentionally left out of this dashboard. But if you need it or you'd like us to add it somehow, then
there's a thumbs up and a +1. So I think that's there's
+1 on secondaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Okay. I'm aware of time, so I think we're going to move on to the next section, which is me. So I'm going to be presenting the next few bits. So first up, again, if people have questions, then let us know as we're going. But I wanted to show this new dashboard, which is on top investors. You'll find it over on the left here, underneath investors, top investors here. And what this shows is the most active investors. So you might have seen that we've previously done work on the maybe best performing, or the investors that have backed the most unicorns and things like that, which we do still have up here in the Power Law ranking. But this one is specifically looking at the most active investors. And there's some really nice things that we can pull out from this. So if we start at the beginning, so Y Combinator is the most active investor in the world, over 15,000 rounds they've been involved in. And there's lots of information you can see about them here too. So you can see that the deals that they've participated in have totaled 42 billion over the years. They've got a portfolio size of 7,000, information about exits and all sorts of other stuff. But when we start filtering is when we get to see some other cool stuff too. So we can filter, like in the rest of the app, we can have a look at certain stages or in certain sectors or segments, and then see how the data changes. So if we have a look at the most active investors in deep tech seed rounds, okay, Y Combinator actually still comes out on top just because they are so active. But we've got some different names underneath here as well, which is super interesting. So if you're a founder that's looking to raise your deep tech seed round, this is an amazing place to start for who to talk to. But we've also got this bit here, so percentage of total rounds, which is really nice to sort by. So if we sort by this, it actually shows what percentage of all of that fund's rounds have they done in this segment of deep tech seed. So basically the most deep tech seed focused funds. And when we sort by that, then we get Hacks, Entrepreneur First, and these other lists. So this is, really nice, because these are going to be absolute experts in this stage and in this kind of company. There's lots of other ways that we can filter this as well. So I won't go through all of these different bits, but I think one of the nice things when I was having a look is we can search by serial founders. So we can see which funds are most interested in serial founders. So on the people who are on their second or third or fourth venture. And actually we see Index Ventures, Founders Fund, Tiger Global, SV Angel, all over 60% of the rounds they've done are into second or more time founders, which is cool.
And by the way, I mentioned earlier that Dealroom for founders exists. Like, this is all you need, founders. You get on LinkedIn, you see a lot of lists, list this, list that, like Excel sheets, but this has everything up to date. It's live data, and you can do almost any filter that you like. So ask for founder access, and this is all you need.
Yeah, obviously you can put in locations and specific round amounts and all that kind of stuff as well. I just wanted to show one other
extension rounds. Who does the most extension rounds?
Exactly. I wanted to show one other bit as well, which is that you can also filter based on an investor. So if I filter based on Index Ventures, I can see who has done the most rounds, like who do they share the most portfolio companies with, basically. So they've actually done quite a lot of the same companies as Excel, which people would often put them almost against each other. And again, if we look at it as a percentage, we can see that Local Globe, which is a seed fund, 17% of their companies have also been backed by Index. And Thrive, which is a later stage fund, 12% of their companies have been backed by Index as well. So you can start to see a bit of pipeline of who's following on from one another or who's investing alongside each other as well. So some really interesting investor dynamics. So you can start to see, who you should be talking, if you're an investor, who you should be talking to co-invest with as well. As I said, I won't go through every single filter in here, but again, worth spending some time playing around with it if you have a chance. I am not actually keeping an eye on the chat. Do you want to have a look in case there's any questions? But I'm going to go on to the next section.
No questions so far.
Okay, good.
If you have any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll get to it whenever it's possible.
Nice. All right. Next thing I wanted to show was we mentioned earlier headcount and traffic breakdown. So we've got some new charts on the company pages here. So I've chosen Polymarket as an example. So this is a big what's it called?
Prediction
market, thank you. Company that's been absolutely blown up in the last 6 months or so. And you can see that with their headcount here, for example. So we previously had this chart that showed the headcount growth, but we can now break it down by department and by location for where their employees are based and what they're doing. So if we look at by department here, you can see their biggest headcount allocation is to product and engineering, which you might expect. But actually the last few months, we can see that sales and marketing has been growing. So they've been doing a big push there. And if we look by geography, okay, so mostly in the US, but actually 10% or more in Canada and a little bit of distribution elsewhere as well. So this is really nice to be able to look at. And we've also got the same kind of breakdown for their web traffic, so where their customers are. So this massive spike is real. This isn't a data glitch. This was, so it's a prediction market, so kind of betting on future events. And this was run up to the US presidential election in November. So that's where they were really taking off and lots of momentum for them there. But if we look at this by country again, we can see some other dynamics in here. And in April, we see actually Canada was their biggest market for traffic, which was also when the federal elections were happening in Canada. So maybe lots of people betting on the outcome while they were casting their vote as well. This is some really nice new data that you'll be able to see on the platforms. It's literally being rolled out like as of yesterday and now and next few days. That'll be kind of filled in for more profiles very soon. So nice little addition there. And then the last thing I wanted to show before I hand over to Felix to show the last few things is a much requested little feature, which is currency preference. So on these charts, such as on the funding rounds page, but also on the company's page for combined ecosystem value, we have these charts that show this one funding over time, and you can see it all aggregated up into US dollars. So we've always defaulted to US dollars, but you can now choose from 50, I think, different currencies to see this stuff in. So if you go to click on your profile picture and go to settings, in the currency preferences here, you can choose, I'll set it to euros, update my currency, and then if I go back and refresh, now I will see the chart all shown in the aggregate stats in euros. And now below, you'll still see there'll be a variety of different currencies on specific rounds. So these are just as the round is reported, that's what we collect. So you'll see that on a round basis. But in these aggregate stats here, or in the aggregate stats on any given profile for total funding for a company, it's now in your preferred currency. If you want to switch it back, then you just do it straight here as well. We do default to US dollars for everything because it's sort of the standard in order to be able to easily compare across geographies. You can now have whichever one you want.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Orla. That's really interesting stuff. I'll now go over to the last two features we have for you today. Starting with the quarterly investment reports. And this will essentially show you how you can share the latest quarter results for more than 400 cities and countries around the world. And this is great if you're a government agency, an economic development organization, or a trade body that's trying to showcase your tech ecosystem's performance. You've probably struggled with compiling quarterly investment into shareable formats, manually gathering VC rounds, benchmarking against other regions, and creating the charts really takes a lot of time. And this tool that we're sharing today allows you to do all of this at the click of a button. So let me actually show you how you can do this. So first you have to navigate to the Dealroom app. We can see the main page here. I can see my screen works now as well. And just as Yoram was doing before, we navigate to the Stats and Insights section on the left here, and then we go to Quarterly Reports. And the first thing that's going to happen here is that it's going to ask us for a city or a country. So let's say, for example, here we want to look at Dubai.
Well, you can just look at the world, which was underneath.
You could also look at the
default
world. So the world also exists. If you want to see the entire result for the last quarter, that is also an option. So in the example here for Dubai, the first thing we see are a few key metrics across VC funding, total ecosystem value, and then also the ranking of the city in a couple different metrics. The other things that we show you here, so this is really like a quarterly snapshot overview, is the market activity in VC funding and ecosystem value across the different quarters and also annually up until 2015. And this can allow you to really quickly identify funding trends in your ecosystem. The next thing we have is market insights for the specific quarter, where we have the biggest rounds, the top industries, and also the top sectors. And you can easily click through these companies as well from this page. And the last thing that this page allows you to do is to look at a regional comparison of your own region against other locations in your region and also globally. So for example, here we can see that Dubai had the most VC growth in the last year compared to other regions in the Middle East and North Africa. But we can also, for example, here look at VC funding. So we can see that Tel Aviv is actually still bigger. And if we compare it globally, we can see that Dubai actually raised the 14th most out of any city globally, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
and they're number one in
MENA in VC funding growth since last year.
Okay.
So quite cool to see.
Well done, Dubai.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this is also ready to be shared easily on social media. So what you can do is you can either export single chart as a PNG by clicking the little download button over here. Or if you want to export the entire page as an easily shareable PDF report, you can also do that. So let me just show you how that's done. You can navigate to the top of the page here and click Share Report, and then press the PDF option. And what's going to happen now, it's going to render out the specific view that you've chosen. So for example, I actually switched the comparison out to VC funding, and then it generates that view as a PDF, which we can take a look at here. And now you have this beautifully rendered, bespoke 6-page report on the quarterly performance of your ecosystem. That is just, very nice to share with your colleagues and also to use for your own benchmarking and reporting.
And feel free to pretend you made it. Yeah, I was going to say, feel free to share on social media, of course, as well.
Exactly. And so essentially, to summarize, what does this page give you? It gives you a data-backed quarterly snapshot of your tech ecosystem's performance that is updated every quarter with the latest data. It's also ready for LinkedIn, newsletters, and presentations. So you don't have to do any manual data gathering anymore or chart creation. Just select your location, export, and share. So that's the first thing I wanted to show.
Yeah, and there's 400 locations in there, would you say? So
Exactly.
cities and countries, plus the world. And to preempt question, I knew we were going to get this question. It's about other regional segmentation. So we want to add some of that for next quarter. Some like things like Europe, or
Yes.
We've also been asked for like Midlands in the UK or states in the US. So we will be kind of building this out as well.
Absolutely. So for this first iteration, we chose to use countries and cities, but we're working currently on adding regions, as Orla was already saying, because there's obviously a lot of interesting insights to be had there as well. And that is probably coming in Q2.
Yeah.
So moving on to the last thing that we're actually presenting today is the integration of Zapier and Dealroom. And this is great if you are trying to connect your data tools to automatically track companies and funding rounds. And there's a problem that we often see where high volume teams miss deals or lose time because the data is kind of split between Dealroom and their internal tools. So this new feature actually allows you to sync companies, lists, saved searches, and funding rounds in real time to your CRM, Google Sheets, or other internal apps. So you don't need to do any exports. You don't need to know anything about the API. And this is obviously great for VCs, growth, and research teams. So let me just show you how to do this. When you are in Zapier itself and you want to create a new Zap, you get to this page. And then you have to first choose the Dealroom app over here and then also authenticate with your Dealroom account. And then you can choose from a variety of different triggers. There's 5 in total, and I want to just highlight a few here right now. There's the new saved search match, where this is really good, for example, to track a set of companies in a specific sector. There's the new round saved search match, which is doing the same as the previous one, just this time for rounds. This is, for example, great if you want to track all Series A funding rounds in AI, and every time a new one is added to that, that will also be triggering the Zap. And then lastly, you can also have a Zap for a new list item. And this is actually what I want to show you right now in this demo. And this will fire when a new company is added to a list by you, which is a great use case for sending data on one company or many companies directly to your CRM or other tool. So let me just go with new list item here. And then what we have to do is to configure this to the specific Dealroom list that we want to use. And I created one specifically for this demo called Dealroom Zapier demo, and you can just find your own list directly here. And then lastly, we can test this trigger, and this is what I was doing here. And very importantly, you can see that we get all these different fields, which might look a little bit overwhelming at first, but this is essentially everything that you can get from Dealroom via the Zapier integration. And this will become important in a second. Then we move on to the next step, choosing our specific action that's going to be triggered from this. You can click here and decide which action you want to use. For the sake of this demo, I'll just use a simple Google Sheet so we can see what's happening. And you can also select the action event here, where I will create a new spreadsheet row. Then we can configure this by choosing the specific spreadsheet. I've also set this up already, and the worksheet that we want this to be added to. And then we get to the important stuff. So my spreadsheet right now, we can see has 3 columns. It has the company column, the website column, and the description. And we can now map specific Dealroom export fields to those columns. So for example, let's say for the company, I want to actually just get the name of the company. So I can press / here and then select from all the different options that Dealroom has. So let me just select the name here. And then for the website, I'm selecting the website URL. And for the description, there's this about field that gives you a full description of that. And then in the test section, you can quickly see what that would, for example, look like with some quick examples. And now let me actually show you how to do this directly in Dealroom. So as we've already seen, this table, this sheet that I prepared, it's now completely empty. But now if we go into Dealroom and we check if there's an interesting company that we would like to add, let's say, for example, Andrii here. I can just press this little heart icon and add to my list. And then here we can see the Dealroom Zapier demo list, or whatever list you would like to choose. Press the little plus, and then it will be automatically added not only to the Dealroom list, but also trigger the Zap and then also add it to the sheet. So we can see that it's now been added to the Dealroom list here. So let's take a quick look. Okay, Andrii is here. And then now that the Zap has been triggered, it will also arrive with the information in the sheet. So this is pretty cool stuff, actually. And the sheet is just an example here for you. You can connect this to any tool that you would like to use. And it just helps you to have less friction between Dealroom and your other data tools, and to much more easily connect your data systems to Dealroom data.
And you did actually just do that in real life. It wasn't
This was in real time, exactly. So always a little bit stressful, but everything worked out. So obviously great. And we're very much looking forward for you to try all of these things out as well.
Nice. We are almost out of time, but Mustafa says this is cool and Nikhil says this is nice. So I agree. Mustafa also says, please bring API connection to Dynamics 365. We'll work on it.
Yeah, and just to let me say a few more words before we sort of close off. Obviously, we've been here for an hour. We've had a lot of information that we've shared with you right now, and this can be a little bit overwhelming, we understand. That's why we recorded 10 how-to videos on all of the different topics that we covered today that are live now, that you can find on the Dealroom YouTube channel, and just watch it back in your own time, and sort of learn these things at a more slow pace than we've sort of gone through them right now.
Amazing. And we're going to show a little bit of product roadmap if people do have a couple minutes to stay on as well. Do you want to talk us through some of these, Yoram?
Yeah. So one big thing is AI. And we were on the fence if we should actually already release it, because basically ready. But we'll very soon release an AI researcher that lets you handle a lot of things on the app by just asking questions. One thing that's actually already live today is semantic sector search. So if you're on the platform and you're searching for a sector, one way is to navigate our existing taxonomy, but you can now also just type any word and it already works really well. You just hit enter. The second big thing are smarter alerts. So you can already set up your daily email, and it's actually massively improved in the last couple of weeks. So do try it out. But yeah, there's even more coming. So we're going to make it a lot easier to set up, and they will be a lot, every alert will be a lot richer also in terms of what's the background of the founder, for example. Why did they start the startup? So a real backstory. So you have more info to decide if this is interesting for you or not. And yeah, enhanced lists and landscapes. So the landscape feature is one of our most used features, but yeah, they are still quite a pain in the butt to create. And yeah, this is actually related with the AI researcher. It will be really, really easy to create them. So you'll have an assistant, and I expect people to go nuts with that, actually. So was there anything else? Yeah, natural language. So that's kind of related with what I already said. Semantic sector search is already live today. But yeah, you'll be able to expand also to kind of have different combinations of searches where you can say, I'm looking for this sector in this city that's been recently founded or something like that, or by a PhD founder, this kind of stuff. So that is coming very soon. I don't think you'll have to wait a whole quarter, but that's coming next. And that's it. So yeah, thanks a lot for staying a little bit longer. But yeah, a lot of very, very exciting stuff. And I will look forward to your feedback, as always.
Yeah, do fill in the form. Let us know if you want to see something else next time, or if you have feedback about these specific features. Always really useful to hear. So thanks very much for joining, and we'll see you all soon.